Alright guys, we're back for another NBA video. So the trade deadline just passed this morning, Melbourne time. I think it would have been yesterday American time. Just wanted to make this video go through the kind of trade deadline, what's happened. I'll go through all the trades at once. Obviously the one big one, I was going to make a video one, but I was feeling a little sick, so I thought, we'll just do it all at once, right? So, we've got the trade tracker here. Same way I did it for the AFL once the trade deadline came and passed. So we'll start with the early on picks. We'll skip some that have no meaning to them, Heat getting Thomas Bryant. He's not even that good for him. This is probably the first trade that meant something. It's only the second trade that happened in the year, but everyone knew that Schroeder wasn't going to stay on the Warriors. Getting basically anything for him. They got. We'll see this a lot this year. The teams are really valuing second round picks. I think it's the Jokic factor. It's one of those because a team got someone from the second round. Now everybody thinks they can get someone through the second round. So these are very high value picks. It doesn't seem that way, but they are. At least GMs are valuing them pretty highly. But yes, Schroeder, this was very much like the Warriors setting up for another trade. I didn't think that the timeline was going to line up because I know there's let's call it a cooldown between the time that you can acquire a player and then trade him on. I thought it was 60 days. We wouldn't have hit 60 days yet if it was. So it must be less than that, or you can kind of come to an agreement on it, I guess. The Lakers make their first trade, which this has ended up being a pretty good trade. Dorian Finney-Smith, who 3-and-D guy, happens to be a former Mav that is friends with former star of the Mavs, Luka Doncic. Very good player for what the Lakers need. So LeBron only has so many years left. This is going to go into it later when that trade comes up. LeBron only has so many years left, whether it's one, whether it's two, maybe it's three. You have to start building a team that doesn't rely upon LeBron. So getting these 3-and-D guys that the whole league is after. Finney-Smith probably has the most meta 2025, 2020s shot chart of any player. I'll pull it up in a second. Right, so this is Dorian Finney-Smith. 3-point shot, 3-point shot, 3-point shot, 3-point shot, 3-point shot, dunk. He's taken two non-dunks this year that have gone in. I mean, 2, 3, 4. He's taken 4 non-dunk, non-layup, non-3 shots. This is the 2020s player, right? He is a little old, right? I should bring that up. He is 31. How many years are there left where he's this type of good? But I mean, on that, I just bring up a Robert Horry who played till he was, I want to say it was 37. I mean, we've even seen a guy like PJ Tucker. Is he 40 now, PJ Tucker? If not, he'd be closing in on it. These guys that very distinct in how they play. They can last a while. Wait, if we got made shots for the full season, yeah, this. The corner three is where he shoots the most threes. You cannot get more modern day player than Dorian Finney-Smith. And then I also got Shake Milton, who, again, Lakers fan, so I do watch a lot of their games. He's actually not been too bad. I'd say the last 4 games. A bit of defensive pressure from him, but I wish he could make maybe an extra 3 or 2. He could be a bit better shooter. Giving up D'Lo, who, I mean, D'Lo's always going to be that guy that on paper it fits, right? A schematic fit. It doesn't typically work out like that because he's He's not that good a shooter, even though his kind of stats say he's middle of the ballpark, kind of like your average NBA shooter. The pick and roll game, he always leads the league. I think it's like pick and roll conversion into points type of stat. But that's mostly because he plays with good rollers. Played with Cat, played with Gobert, played with... Wiggins wasn't that bad, and he played with Wiggins. Playing with LeBron, playing with AD, playing with... DeAndre Jordan didn't play, so I'm not going to say him. But, like, the Lakers have had role guys and stuff like that, which is upping his stats a little bit. Going to the Nets, he's got the same thing. Claxton's a role guy. They have their shooters as well. Cam Thomas is just going to sit in the corner. He's going to shoot his threes. Probably the only part of this trade I don't like is the 3 future seconds, which I think is... They're all conditional, I think. Maybe there's one that's not conditional. This means nothing. Suns just needed a backup center because they have been trying to move Nurkic. They did end up doing it, but now Nick Richards, I think, is their starting center or something like that. That's a nothing trade. I mean, it is a real trade. It's just... it's actually a really bad trade from the Suns. So 2031 unprotected. If this was protected in any way, it would have been a bit better. But I'd imagine no team wanted to get a protected pick from the Suns, which is, 25, say 6 years from now. In 6 years, KD will be long retired, right? KD's not going to make it that long. Beal will probably be retired. At the pace he's going, he's going to retire pretty soon. Booker might be moved on from the team. They haven't got... I'm a big Ryan Dunn fan, but he doesn't look like he's going to be scoring 30 a game. The team has nothing, right? And now they've got these picks, and we've seen already the route they're going to go with these is we had 1, now we have 3. Any team that puts up a player and the asking price is just a first round pick, Chicago, that they can just give 1 away, turned 1 into 3 that you can turn into multiple players. That's okay in theory, but the problem is you've traded a pick from the future where you're not going to be good. This pick here is going to be way more valuable than all 3 of these. And it's all least favorable, so that's not great either. Cleveland look like they're going to be good for a while. Minnesota are building. They still have Ant Edwards. Utah should be on the rise at some point. So, the worst pick here is going to be the Minnesota one. And even then, they might not even be that bad. So, Clippers trade, this is nothing. I think all of these guys then got further traded, so it's a real nothing pick. Now, I was going to say maybe, this is the biggest trade I have ever seen, right? This is... What would be the equivalent? The Cavs trading LeBron before he goes to the 2009 finals or something like that. This is insane. The 2008 finals, was it? No, 8, 7, the one where he went up against Spurs, that one. This makes 0 sense from the Mavs. And even with... Hold on. Birds are chirping today. They know that this is a bad trade. Even with the kind of coping that the Mavs GMs came out with, we wanted a defensive team because defense wins championships. Dude, Luka is 25. At 25, he has more accomplishments than Stephen Curry, who's in my opinion, it's my opinion, I think Stephen Curry is the best point guard of all time. You can say Magic, that's cool. I think, given the errors, I think Stephen Curry is better than Magic is, but besides the point. You just traded a guy that has more accomplishments at this point in his career than Steph does. Or Steph did. You don't do that. This is the face of your franchise. The Mavs aren't... the Mavs are a big market team, but only because they have a big budget. Not because they're a big market. They're in Texas. The Spurs are a more favourable team to go to. OKC is looking like a more favourable team to go to. You're third. The Rockets are getting better. Some big players going to go to the Rockets. So you're fourth. You include you're in the West. You've got the Lakers. You've got the Clippers, who still have the LA advantage. Like the Clippers, it's a step down, but you still have the LA title to it. What are you doing? This is horrible. The Mavs historically have struggled for free agents. You didn't need a free agent for this. This guy was handpicked by your greatest player ever, Dirk Nowitzki. He said, Luka is the guy. They played that one season, or maybe it was 2 seasons together. He said, Luka is the guy. He's the next up. And he was correct. Luka is... he's finished top 3, top 5 in MVP voting at least twice. He made the NBA Finals of the year just past, where he was playing on one leg and playing 40 minutes a game and averaging the most points per game in the playoffs ever. And if the Celtics weren't unstoppable, they have a real chance at winning a championship last year. It's just it was one of those years they came up against a team that nobody was beating. Anyone in the West goes to the finals that year, they were losing to the Celtics. Is what it is. You made it there, and you traded your guy because he's got conditioning issues. What? Conditioning issues, that's the issue. You traded for Anthony Davis. You want to talk about a conditioning issue. Now, look, this is going to make it seem like Anthony Davis is a scrub. Anthony Davis is no scrub. Anthony Davis is all elite. He is everything, right? He is a player that can... For the first month of this season, Anthony Davis was in a top 2, top 3 MVP conversation. The last game he played for the Lakers, he had 40 and 20. He is amazing. He is spectacular. And the injury thing is overblown, but this guy has conditioning issues. He cannot go through a whole 40-minute game without grabbing at his ankle, grabbing at his shoulder, grabbing at something. You want to talk about a conditioning issue. This is the worst trade in NBA history. The only one that you can bring up that is close is the Celtics and Nets trade, where they gave up 4 first-round picks unprotected, or 5 first-round picks unprotected for guys that were way past it. Still solid, they made the playoffs, but they were way past it. This is worse than that, because this is the Lakers trading Kobe in 2002. In 2004. They've just lost the championship. We don't like how Kobe's not gelling in the locker room. We're going to trade him on. And not only trade him on, we're not going to get anything back. This is nothing. 2029, Luka's 25. That's 4 years from now. Luka's not even going to be 30. What? They have... this has to be... this has to be a case of Nico Harrison just hates the man that Luka Doncic is. Not the player, because the player is amazing, right? Otherworldly. He's the type of guy that walks up against the biggest team, hits a 3, and then trash talks, and then backs it up by hitting another 3. He goes up against the Clippers in the bubble, which is I still think one of the best playoff series ever. Even though it was the bubble, and I think bubble basketball was actually really good, but maybe that's a bit of bias because the Lakers won. He was killing that team. And all the stuffs came out about the Clippers not wanting to be there. The Clippers were trying to win. They they were trying to win, they just couldn't. I think they did win the series in 7. Luka, with a team that was nowhere near up to scratch, was taking that team to the limit, to OT in like every game, to the final shot. You go like last year, people are talking about how bad his defense was. He led the West in steals in the playoffs. Like, so what? He's not a good defender. Steph's not a good defender. LeBron's not a good defender anymore. Holy shit, right? Like, you put LeBron in front of, I don't know, give me like any mid-tier star player. Like, I don't know, no offense, but he's going to come up later, so his name's on my mind. Like, De'Aaron Fox, he's not the best player in the league. You put LeBron in front of him, and LeBron might as well retire today. This is the worst trade ever, and the more that comes out about it, the worse and worse it gets. Like, Max Christie's alright. This pick is going to be nothing. They're probably going to have to trade on this pick. So, Anthony Davis in 4 years could be retired. He's 31 going on 32. I think he's 32 at either the end of this month or end of next month. Now, I did hear his birthday was soon. I don't actually know when it is, but... So you're trading for a 31-year-old in a pick from 4 years from now. Kyrie is not going to be on the team in 4 years, whether that means he's retired or just moved on. Clay's going to be retired. I guarantee he can barely move. So, what, Lively's going to save this team? Lively was good because of Luka. Like, Lively is a very good player, don't get me wrong, but... Man. Like, the fact that you didn't shop him around. Like, I'm not even going to go into the Lakers thing. Like, you know, the Lakers have made another move, and it's, you know, like a perfect fit type of center for him. So, you know, you can go into how the game plan is going to work for the Lakers, but from the Mavs side, I can see why fans would, like, riot at a game. Right? Like, full European level owners cannot come to games anymore because there are life threats, like death threats on the owners. This is a big deal. This is the biggest trade ever. Anyway, on to another big trade, which just kind of got super overshadowed, even though it's a very, very good trade and a huge fleecing from the Spurs. Fox goes to the Spurs, Levine goes to the Kings. The Kings get all these picks, but it's kind of like a smoke and mirrors thing here. And then the Bulls get absolutely nothing. The Bulls might be the worst trading team of all time. Like, I know I just said the Mavs are, like, this is the worst trade ever. But the Bulls are the worst historic trading team ever. Like, they had Levine, DeRozan, Caruso, all these guys. They didn't get a single first-round pick out of any of them. Vucevic, they haven't gotten a single pick out of any. Like, they've only got their own pick bag. They have not profited in picks. Fox on the Spurs, he's already debuted, so we know how this fits. And, surprise, you put a very good point guard next to an all-generation, all-time level talent who is already on the rise to be in the top whatever like, name a number. Is Wemby already what was the thing? NBA top 75 player? Probably. Like, people go crazy for, like, players that played in the 70s or the 80s or something like that. Wemby's better than they are. Like, I hate to tell you, but those guys were not very good. Yeah, super one-dimensional players. Oh, but they played defense. That doesn't mean they're good. Wemby plays better defense than they do. I'm telling you now. So Fox is a home run. Like, this is setting up the Spurs for another 5 years of dominating the league. But, yeah. It's the Mavs trade, man. Give me a minute. I have to go get a drink because this Mavs trade has made, like, it's so crazy what they did. All right, we're back. So going back into the Spurs trade, like, the Spurs side aced it, right? Home run, easy. Kings side, they got Levine. Levine and DeRozan do work together. Point guard is an issue now for them. Malik Monk is not your guy, right? Like, it's not. He's a very good player. perfect six-man player, perfect six-man, but not your starting point guard. This pick, it's like, oh, okay, well the Hornets are bad, right? Like if we bring up the standings, the Hornets are down the bottom. This is a good pick. No, it's not. It's top like 10 protected, top 15 protected. It's 2 second-round picks. This should just come down here. 2027 Spurs. So that's 2 years from now. Wembanyama's going to get 2 years better. Fox is going to still be on the team. This is not a good pick. This is, at best, like best case scenario for the Kings. Wemby gets hurt or his development stunts. This is like a mid first round pick. So like a 15, 16, 17, 18, anywhere between 15 and 20. This is not a good pick because the West is still always better than the East. So the East is going to dominate the draft order. So it's not a good pick. This one's a real pick. Like this is a pick. It depends on how the Timberwolves go over the next couple of years. If they don't build around like Anthony Edwards, he is just going to leave. Like he's insane, so he will just leave. And if they don't build around him, you can't really blame him. And then all these second round picks, which are like, cool. Why are we valuing second round picks so much? They're not like, you're not going to get anyone here. Let's be honest. Especially like 25, this year's draft class isn't that deep. 28, no one knows, and 28, no one knows. And it's a Nuggets pick, so it's going to be late in the draft because the Nuggets are still going to have Jokic and still be good. Nothing. This is a nothing trade. Like, I'm guessing Nico Harrison watched the Celtics series from 4 years ago or 3 years ago where Caleb Martin was Michael Jordan. So he traded for him. Quentin Grimes, another young guy, can hit a three, can play some defense. Let's trade him. Okay, sure. And the whole defense wins championships thing, Caleb Martin's not that good a defender. Like, he's okay. He's solid. I'd keep Grimes in that. Daniel Tice to OKC. This is just them getting a backup center. They've had some center issues, right? I'm guessing that Chet, they're like, hey, we have to keep a real backup here. And that's what Hartenstein's supposed to be. But Hartenstein can have an injury. We saw it with the Knicks. So this is a third stringer that can play, right? Tice is not unplayable. He's just not the guy that you want to have on the court. This is interesting to me, how the Kings just get Valanciunas for nothing. City Sissoko, he'll get minutes for Washington, but he hasn't really shown much so far in his career. And 2 future seconds, which I don't know if it's out what years those are in, but so it's basically like 3 seconds for Valanciunas. Beat Sissoko, we'll see if he's even on the roster opening day of next year, which is probably like a good way to evaluate trades. Are they going to be on the roster day 1 next season? A lot of these guys probably not. But I mean, this isn't bad for the Kings. You know, it moves Sabonis. Sabonis doesn't have to play center anymore unless it's like a weird like couple of minutes rotation. I don't know how the fit's going to work. Valanciunas can hit a three, so he can kind of move out a little bit for Sabonis to stay in the paint, but it's going to be a bit of a... Because, like, DeMar isn't really a shooter. Levine can shoot. Monk can shoot. So you've really only got 2 shooters on the floor. We'll see how it goes. In the current day, you'd prefer more of, like, 3 to 4 shooters on the floor if you're going to have a guy like Sabonis who can't shoot. This is nothing. I mean, it's a second round pick swap. It's nothing. Yeah, again, it's a pick swap. The Wizards get a 2026 pick. I don't know if there's any protections on that. That's not bad. It's a lot of seconds you're giving up, but you got a lot of seconds from the... Yeah, you got seconds from here, so it's like, hey, that's actually not too bad. Like that... Maybe the Wizards are cooking. Pistons land Caleb Martin. Oh, not Caleb Martin. KJ Martin. this isn't up to date. Give me a second, because this I don't think is up to date for the trades. Yeah, here we are. So the NBA website even got it wrong. Because I was looking for this trade, the Jimmy Butler one. This is a huge trade, but it's not that good, in my opinion, right? In my opinion. The Warriors received Jimmy Butler, who, I mean, Jimmy's still, like if we're ranking players, he's still in the all-star team, right? Like he's an all-star level player. He's not where he was during the two finals runs, where he could carry a team, right? He could put up points, he could play very good defense, hit a three when you need one, super clutch player. He's not really that anymore, but he's still a very, very good player. This part, I'm not a fan of. The 2-year extension, I've heard that there is like an option to it. It's a player option, so it's really 60 mil 1 year with the option of 60 mil another year. It's even in that, like the 60 mil, it's more 58, like what was it, 51 and 51 than it is 60 and 60. I was listening to Bill Simmons. It's not exactly the way it's getting portrayed, but it's still like a big money deal, right? I would prefer to be a 1 year team option than player option, or a 2 year with a team option for a third. But yeah, the Warriors get a guy, like the Warriors have needed someone that can do something with the ball that's not Stephen Curry. Like Wiggins is very good, but Wiggins can't do anything with the ball. Draymond is, he's going to go down as one of the better, power forwards ever. I don't think he has a conversation at all for like a top 3 spot, but he'll go down as one of the best. He can't do anything with the ball. So it's, you have Jimmy come in, he can do something. But on the Heat side, they got Wiggins, who's a real player for them. Like he'll play proper minutes. Kyle Anderson is probably not going to do anything, and I think he's getting moved on to Toronto or somewhere, or Utah, something like that. He's getting moved on. PJ Tucker, who's already been moved on, I think twice since this trade happened. And a protected first-round pick. I mean, the Warriors, they're definitely on the clock, right? So, like, once Steph retires, this team has to full rebuild. That first-round pick, if it's from the Warriors, is pretty good. It's pretty valuable. Schroeder goes to the Jazz. It gives them a point guard. They've kind of needed one. Colin Sexton, I think, isn't that bad, but he doesn't play any defense, and he kind of stat pads on a bad team. He was stat padding on a bad Cavs team. Now he's stat padding on a bad Jazz team. But I don't think he's that bad. I think he's a bench backup guy. I think he's solid enough. But yeah, so Jimmy on the Warriors is going to be something. Jimmy's revenge tours are always like super fun to watch. So I don't know if the Warriors are going to verse the Heat late in this season, but that is going to be must watch if it does happen. Raptors get Brandon Ingram. So this trade took me a minute to get my head around. Because the Pelicans, so I don't rate Brandon Ingram that high. I think he's okay. And by okay, that means very good, but he's only okay. He averages 20-something, 22. He's never really that healthy. He's not your guy, right? You can't just say, our team's going to score a boatload of points because we have Brandon Ingram. He hasn't shown that yet in his whole career. I'm just not super sold on Ingram as a 1 option or even a 2 option. But getting nothing back for him. Bruce Brown is someone that, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear the Pelicans have brought him out and he just goes to the buyout market. These, I'm guessing, are unprotected. Typically, if it's reported by Shams, he'll put in if it's protected. I'm guessing these both unprotected. It's a first-round pick. If this was the asking price, I'm surprised there weren't more teams in for him, like a Hawks, Magic, Nets. Yeah, like a couple of teams that could use a guy like this. That again, I don't think he's the best, but he can. Say he goes to the Magic, right? He'd be a third option. As a third option, I think this guy is pretty good, right? Like I think we can all agree that at 20 something points per game, third option is pretty solid. I'm surprised he went for so low, but maybe they held him too long. They should have traded him in the off season. Because I could have sworn in the off season they were offered 2 firsts for him. So I think it's a case where they've held him so long. They've said they're not going to extend him, so it's just killed his market value, which sucks. But this is why the Pelicans are always going to be bad, right? They held onto Anthony Davis too long. That like they got a lot in return. They got Brandon Ingram in return, but yeah, bad teams stay bad, while winning teams stay winning, right? On to winning teams. The Lakers receive Mark Williams for Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, an unprotected 2031 pick, and a 2030 pick swap. So the Lakers still have a pick in 2030, but it's going to be, I think it's worst of Lakers, Utah, Hornets, Nets. It's going to be a terrible pick. But yeah, this is perfect. This is a masterclass in how to build a team in a week. It honestly makes me upset how long they've taken to do something like this. Like, the LeBron and AD teams have always needed shooting. Just any shooters around them. They haven't been able to get it. Like, relying on Gabe Vincent to shoot threes. We're relying on D'Angelo Russell to shoot 40% from 3. Austin Reeves is like a diamond in the rough, needle in the haystack, because he can shoot threes and handle the ball when LeBron at 40 years old needs a rest. It's surprising it's taken this long, but in 1 week the Lakers have a completely new vision. Instead of let's ride out LeBron, then it's AD's team. We'll build around him for a bit. It's like the Reeves and AD team with good young players like Rui, Connect, Max Christie. We've got some guys there. We'll just ride that out until we can draft our next star. That's gone, right? Like, you have your next star. You have your next 10 years. 10 years, Luka would be 35. Given how his calf and stuff is, I don't know if he's going to make it 35, 36, 37. But say it's 8 years or whatever. You have that sorted now. Mark Williams is younger than Dalton Connect is. Issue with Mark Williams, these stats look good, but they're for the Hornets, where he's really the only center on the team, right? If I brought up the Hornets roster right now, he's basically the only center on the team. And he's got very bad health problems. He's only played 22 this season. Ingram's only played 18, and that's bad, right? That's pretty bad, considering that we're giving up a fair amount. Personally, I really liked Connect. I know that the last, say, 10 games hasn't been so hot. I think he's dropped his average down to 8 points a game. That's what happens when you draft a shooter, right? Their first couple of years, they're not going to be amazing. He offered 3-point shooting. He offered defense. I thought he was solid. He's going to be good in Charlotte. I can already see, he's very much a stand in the corner type player. He stands in the corner, LaMelo does his stuff, kicks it out, Connect for 3. Considering LaMelo, is already at the point where he, gets double teamed every play, so Connect is going to kind of benefit from all that. But yeah, this is the perfect player for Luka. Rim runner, 7'2", a real 7-footer. It's not he's 6'10", but we can call him 7-footer. He's 7'2", very good around the rim. He had a 39 and 12 game a couple of weeks ago. Very good player. would like to see the defense go up. So these are more athleticism blocks. It reminds me more of like an Andre Drummond during the Pistons days. Drummond used to average about 1 block a game, 1.5, or maybe 2 blocks. But they were more athleticism-based blocks instead of good defense leads to a tough shot around the rim. Then you get the block off that, which is what you'd prefer. It's how AD works. So like I'd like to see a bit more defensive work from him. And I'd also like to, see him on the floor a bit more. 22 games, we're about 40-something games into the season. We're basically at the halfway mark. So he's only played half the games this season for the most part. Yeah. We'll see how this goes. This is going to be such a fun team to watch, man. Like, in 1 week, the Lakers have a whole new team and a whole new vision. It's crazy. It is the best trade week ever, I think, in NBA history, when you look at it. We've already gone over that one. The Raptors get PJ Tucker, which I'm guessing they just buy him out. I don't think he's going to play. They get a second-round pick. I thought David Mitchell wouldn't be that bad for him, but he can't get game time, and then when he does, he's not amazing. You want to talk about a... what's the word? I can't think of the word, but like, how Bronny gets in the league because of LeBron? I think this guy only got in the league because of Donovan Mitchell, but we'll talk about that another time. This trade. Alright, so Nurkic, the Suns had to get off Nurkic contract because it was so much money for someone that really isn't any good. Can't play defense, basically zero on offense. He's living off of that, like, 2 good years he had in Portland. It's, not great. The Suns just needed a body that can play center, like an able body that's around about 7 foot tall. You can play the center position because KD can't play it. Now I don't even know if they have a center on the roster. I'm gonna pull up their roster. Give me a sec. All right, so it looks like Mason Plumlee, Nick Richards, and Bol Bol is your center rotation if you're Phoenix. That's yikes. Bill Booker, KD, I mean, none of the forwards are like actual centers. Like Ryan Dunn's, too short. Royce O'Neal at center is just asking for problems. You play in the West, so you've got to go up against Jokic so many times a year. Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. I'm guessing they're hoping for a buyout center or something like that. That's bad. Man, they had to give up a first-round pick just to get off his contract, and that's the pick from... It's not on here. The pick from the trade I was talking about earlier. Like, that's terrible. For Cody Martin, who's like not a real deal, and for Sally Micic, who can hit a 3, but if you play more than 10 minutes a game, you're losing. Yeah, that's not good at all. This is an interesting one. I didn't think this was going to happen because of the Spurs masterclass. So this goes back to the Spurs trade. Let me pull that up. The Spurs did not have to get rid of... and there's also the Chris Middleton trade. To go on this quickly, no team gets better from this. Middleton on the Wizards, I think, is going to get brought out. I don't know where he'd go after that, but I mean, it's a lot of money. They could hold him a year, then buy him out. But Kuzma does not make the Bucks better. Kuzma's terrible. Jericho Sims isn't a player, and then this pick's not really going to do anything. AJ Johnson is nothing, and then a pick swap. Nothing happens there. Damn, where is it? Spurs. Let's go Spurs. Man, the NBA website is not tracking these trades very well. So I have to do this 2 pages, right? The Spurs have the current Hawks pick, which, you know what, I'm going to bring up that. So this pick, where is it? Right here, San Antonio owns. Atlanta have no Jalen Johnson this year, and since losing him to I think it was an ACL or Achilles, the Hawks have looked horrible, right? Like really bad. Like there's not really much movement on the offense. It's if Trae Young can't dribble his way into like an open three or an open dunk for like a Kongwu or something like that, they can't do anything. There's not like the shooting's not going in. There's nothing happening. The game was closing in San Antonio the other day, but I feel like that was more Wemby and then De'Aaron Fox still getting accustomed to the new team and everything like that. And the Spurs still aren't like a championship team yet. But yeah, so they kept with that pick. They didn't have to trade that to... I thought it would have been the Bulls. I think they would have had to trade to the Bulls. They didn't. So now, where are we? Back to the Hawks. The Hawks are trading a lot of their guys, right? It's like they're admitting to a tank this year. It's like Hunter's, 6'8", 3-and-D, not the best, but he's a 6'8", 3-and-D guy who does pretty well against like a Tatum, a Brown, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I know the Cavs obviously would want a guy like this, being in a title race in the East. Really the only team you have to build against is the Celtics. Not a good return, honestly. Like these second round picks, I've said it so many times, like the teams are overvaluing these. You're not going to get someone. But I guess teams are just holding on to first round picks so much that you have to go for these. Like you got Hunter, and now they're trading Bogdanovic. It's always a name that I hate saying. Again, second round picks. So like the Hawks, 6 second round picks in 2 trades. What is the likelihood in 6 second round picks they get someone that is a real NBA player? Like he contributes to winning. The Hawks are a better team now that this guy is on the team. What are the odds of that? Like not very high. That there's 3 very good second round picks, like very, very good ones of all time. Jokic, Rodman, and Draymond Green. Terrence Mann is good. Bones Highland is not. I don't know. That's such a weird trade. Dennis Schroeder, again, like I said, he keeps getting moved along, so now he's on the Jazz. He's on the Pistons, other way around. Jazz gets some guys that, Josh Richardson can shoot, KJ Martin can't really do anything, and then, Schroeder gives the Pistons an actual guard rotation. Nothing. Wiseman to the Raptors. I didn't know Wiseman was fit yet. I thought he was done for the year. I guess not. Maybe it was only Achilles strain, not Achilles tear. Wiseman's such a weird player. Like, in the one game he played this year, he actually looked okay, right? Like, it could be worse. But, yeah. Clippers give up on KPJ, get someone that's not that great either. It's essentially a nothing trade, but it's important because now the Clippers don't really have any backup point guard. I guess Beauchamp is going to have to play point guard. I don't know. Then you got the Grizzlies. Yeah, this is the last deal of the day. It kind of went through on the deadline. Marcus Smart to the Wizards. Alex Len to the Wizards. Colby Jones is not like real. 2025 first round pick. That's not bad. If the Grizzlies fall out of like guaranteed playoffs and fall into the play-in, it's not that bad. But I mean, it's a pick for free, so it is what it is. It's interesting that the Grizzlies have had to give up a pick to get rid of Marcus Smart. It was bad signing when they did it anyway. They get 2 seconds back. Marvin Bagley, who's not going to play. And then Johnny Davis, who I think he's had 2 good games in his 4-year career. And then the Kings get Jake LaRavia, who actually isn't that bad. As a backup or a third string, something like that, he's solid. Again, we're talking about a third string here. If we can average 6 to 8 points a game, that's pretty solid. But yeah, so that's basically it on this one. I think the Wizards are going to buy out Marcus Smart. I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers go in for him then, because then you would have a defender that you can play alongside James Harden. You can play alongside Kawhi and stuff like that. It would work out. Chris Dunn is defensive, and they play Chris Dunn with James Harden. I think Marcus Smart would also work there. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys thought about the trade deadline. I still, this is 4 or 5 days on from the Luka trade. I cannot believe it happened. It is crazy, that trade. But anyway, Supercoach videos starting up soon. Did a bit of research on players. That'll probably be starting from next week. But yeah, see you all next time.